Hello everyone, welcome back to Beyond the Veil Tarot and Astrology. My name is Candace Marie. Thanks for joining me. It's Saturday night. We're doing live readings. Hope you guys are doing well. Really excited to be back and just connecting with you guys live. This is the Saturday night routine. So if you guys are new to my channel, welcome. Thanks for joining me and spending Saturday with me. We alternate on Saturdays, so every other Saturday we do readings. 1 week we do tarot readings, 1 week we do astrology. We've done a lot of astrology recently. I think we did one back to back, if I'm correct. I don't remember, but we had a long one last weekend because we were taking a look at the North Node Mars-Uranus conjunction. So we're doing astrology. We're doing tarot tonight. We're doing astrology next week. So if you are a level 3 member on my memberships, you can get your reading if you want for the month. That's the beauty of being a level 3 member. You're going to get one reading included with your membership. So you can get one 3-card spread, or you can ask a question during one of my astrology lives. So because this is the very first Saturday of the month of August, anybody who is a level 3 is welcome. We'll just give a shout out to everybody who's level 2 and level 3. We have an ever-growing list here. We've got Deanna, Lisette, Willow, Steve, Courtney, Claudia, Angela, Emma, Ezekiel, Susan, Paula, Miss Fogel, Jackie, Angeli, Harazed, Nancy Celerito, Phoenix, Jessica Martinez, and Susan Wexler. But those of you guys who are a level 3, there's a handful of you guys. I'm happy to read for you if you want to pop in. We'll give you guys a little bit of time to check in. What's up, Paula? How is it going? Hey, Queen of Wands. Hey, Dave. Oh my goodness, guys. Paula, I have to tell you, I was getting all my notes ready today for the Mars retrograde in Gemini, and I was like, for some reason, I was like, man, I gotta remind Paula how wild this is going to be, because I'm getting ready to start putting some stuff together for that. So, just a heads up. Paula, I'm happy to read for you. I'm glad you're doing well. What would you like me to take a look at? While we're waiting, for those of you guys who are new to my channel, this is how you can go about actually getting a reading. There's a QR code right next to me. You can scan that QR code. It's going to take you to my PayPal. You make a donation there. It'll be $40 for 3 cards, $20 for 1 card. In the memo, please put your name if it differs from your YouTube name. And also, if you don't mind, let me know what your question is. If you just want a general reading, that's fine too. If I don't get anything in the memo, then we'll be doing a general reading for you. We're going to do the readings in the order that we receive them. So we're going to take the members first, but if you make a donation for a reading, just let me know and we'll get to you. So we're going to do Paula. Okay, Courtney, I'm happy to read for you. You guys just let me know what your questions are. Just making a note here so I know who I spoke to this month. Hey, Brittany. Thank you. Sometimes people just like to hang out and listen, you know? All right, Paula, let's do it. We're going to give you a general reading. And then, Courtney, you're on deck. You're next. So let me go ahead and get started. So let's see what the cards have to say for Paula. All right, so this one came up first, this one came up second, this one came up third. Kind of wild here that you got a couple majors here, Paula. So we're gonna start with the Judgment card, followed by the Tower, and then the 3 of Pentacles. To me, it looks like the time has come to make decisions and to really sort and sift through either a major foundational issue with work, okay, because this is a card of work or working together. But we start with Judgment. So, you know, in the majors, there's 22. So if a couple of them are coming up in a spread, it's pretty significant. So Judgment is like, I got to make a difficult decision. I got to make a difficult call. Where it differs from Justice is Judgment is kind of like this is the cause and effect. So there's something that's coming up right now that seems a little bit chaotic or a little bit hectic, or this isn't the best timing. You know, I don't really know how I feel about this. I really can't kind of you know, quit a job or leave something or walk away from something, or just this feeling that it would be like having the rug pulled out from underneath you. Now, Judgment is coming up in a positive placement. It's also saying that you've made the decision that you're actually moving away from something because you realize it may not be sustainable or it may not be solid in your life. So this can also be beliefs. However, to me, it seems like it's either dealing with like money or work, because the Three of Pentacles is coming up. It is saying that there is a process that you're going to work through this. Likely it's going to take about 3 months for you to kind of go from start to finish. The Judgment card in the Tower is also sometimes like this. It's almost like you tuning into the fact that you're like, this isn't going to end well. If I stay on the path to this, it's not going to pay off, or it's not going to benefit me. It's not going to benefit me financially, or it's not going to benefit my health. So you're kind of getting to work, Three of Pentacles, and focusing on what you can start building or what you can start creating now, knowing that inevitably you're going to have to make a difficult decision to kind of like topple something. When the Tower card comes up, this is also a card that deals with Mars. So just kind of knowing that recently Mars has been in conjunction to Uranus. It's been kind of hanging out in your 12th house. Maybe there's been like this subconscious feeling that's like, yeah, if I keep writing this out, like certain situations are going to materialize that's going to make me feel pushed out, or mentally I'm going to feel like I'm going to snap and I'm going to have to walk away. So knowing that you're getting to that point, it looks like you're being proactive. And what I love about the Three of Pentacles is it does talk about putting like your touch on something, or perfecting something, developing something, getting something ready for sale, being able to, yeah, just really kind of perfect something about like a craft. Now it can also talk about working with other people. So you can be in a position of also like grooming or getting other people ready at work or in a financial situation to be like, hey, when we get to this point, or I'm probably not going to be working here in X amount of months, or, you know, I'm only going to be funding something for X amount of months. Like you're going to start prepping other people in your life and like letting them know what your goals are and what you're working towards. So when you do make this change, it doesn't seem so like dynamic and unexpected and, you know, confrontational. It's like you're giving people fair warning that you're getting ready to make a shift. This is probably something that you've been thinking about for some time. Like I said, this deals with the months of Mars. So if you go back to like April, May, this has probably been something that you've been thinking about. And ultimately, I think the Judgment card is this realization that you're making a commitment to something. And once you make this jump, you're not going back. So there's something final about the Judgment card. It's like, okay, I realize that this is a situation that isn't working. We're not going to go back here. We're not going to repeat these same, you know, lessons over again. Look for increments of 3, you know, it might be 3 weeks, 3 months, but I'm kind of feeling like there's something that needs to be put together before you take the pivot. You got a promotion at work. Okay, cool. Then in my mind, this is like you going, how can I arrange things and get things organized and make the decision that I've got other people that are going to be taking care of things, and like what can I be doing to kind of arrange it in a way where like I'm not putting out fires constantly 24/7 at work. Three of Pentacles can talk about you like leading a team, or you leading other people to a point where there's like more production or more sales. But this could also be you going like, well, I was on the precipice of making the decision that I was going to be leaving this position, or that I wasn't going to stay here, and now something changed, and like, can we make it work? If you are happy with where you're working and you're not planning on leaving, then my advice would be is to try to work with the team members in a way where you are getting them more self-sustainable, so you don't have to be around all the time and you're not constantly putting out fires and running around and having to be the person who's taking care of things. And if you are staying on your side hustle, great. I have a feeling that this is saying that there can be some things coming that you did not see at work, and that it may end up being more responsibility and more weight on you than you anticipated. And that's not to be meant to be like something that's like gloomy. It's just, you know, the Judgment card and the Tower card is saying if shit hits the fan, it's going to be on you. So you're kind of more so in the line of fire. And if you're happy that you're at a promotion, then focus on how you can be working with the staff, so that way you're not feeling like you're running around having to take care of everything. But keep your eyes peeled, because something about like the Judgment and the Tower makes me feel like If for whatever reason there are events that take place at work that make you kind of go, wow, it's a good thing, you know, I didn't quit my job because, you know, X, Y, and Z happened in my personal life and I needed more resources. Or it's a good thing that I didn't give up on my side hustle because this is possibly not where I want to stay forever. These are events that are outside of your control. So the Tower is kind of like things that take place around you. It can be like a storm or something. And you're going to be really glad that you either trained the team, worked with them well, got them to the point where they were more self-sufficient, so you're not having to take care of things, and or also the fact that you have a side hustle. But Three of Pentacles is perfecting something that you're doing with your hands. So I wouldn't cut the side hustle. I think that this will make sense in about 3 months' time. Okay? Hopefully that's helpful. Positive, even though the Judgment card talks about having to make some difficult decisions. It's still a positive outcome for you, Paula. All right, so let's see who else we have. Courtney, let me know your question. I'm just pulling up the PayPal, guys. Give me just a second. Sometimes my PayPal likes to act possessed. It's done this a couple times. Okay, so we've got Shawana and Tonya. So you guys are going to be next. Love you too, Paula. We'll chat soon. Let me know what happens. 3 weeks. Get back to me in 3 weeks and let me know what that increment was about. Like a reading. So just let me know, because we're doing it by donation only. So if you guys send a donation, let me know. I've got Courtney. If I don't hear from you, Courtney, I'll give you a general reading, followed by Shawana and Tonya. Courtney. There she is. I want to know what the heck is going on with my relationship. If we should separate or stay together. We have 2 babies together, so that's been the biggest reason for staying together. Okay. All right, so let's take a look, Courtney. I know you're still sending a second part of your message. I'll read it in just a second. So this is going to be about staying together in the relationship. 1, 2, 3. It's been contentious for some time now. 8 of Pentacles, the High Priestess, the 3 of Pentacles. Wow, there is the 3 of Pentacles again. Teamwork. To be honest with you, these are not terrible cards. You know, like when I see somebody who's going through tumultuous relationships, I'm like, yeah, it's not going to work. I'll see 3 of Swords, you know, 8 of Cups, Ace of Swords reversed, 5 of Cups. I'm not seeing any of these cards, so I'm not saying that it's not painful. But these are cards that talk about productivity and working through something and like being able to work on something, but it's less about the relationship, it's more about you. 8 of Pentacles, which is talking about kind of getting down to business. And in some ways it may also talk about the fact that you have been reflecting on what would happen physically or financially if there was like an ending of a relationship. Like, you know, these are cards that are like, oh, should I, you know, work harder to be able to bring in more? You know, should I develop a talent more? I mean, something like that. So the fact that these cards are coming up for you is interesting because it's saying like there may have already been some preparations that you have made or starting to look at your job, your resources, your money, like realistically what you would have to do if you were to leave the relationship. 8 of Pentacles is saying that there's something to work on or that there is something that can be bettered in the situation. So it can be talking about taking hard work and really having both parties, because it's an 8, having to do the effort. Sometimes 8 of Pentacles comes up in a relationship reading where I'm like, this is a moment where before you guys walk away from the relationship, both parties really need to roll up their sleeves and be willing to do the heavy lifting to see if there's something here that can be salvaged in the relationship. If you feel like you're beyond that point, then like I said, pivoting to my original interpretation, this is like, well, if I were to not be in this relationship, how hard would I have to work? Would I be able to financially cover things? What would I have to do by myself? This can also be saying that you're kind of in a situation where you're feeling as if you're alone in the relationship and that you're the person doing the heavy lifting. So sometimes this card comes up when somebody's like, I'm the person who's making all the effort. I'm the person who's cleaning the house, making the meals. I'm the breadwinner, whatever. So this can be talking about you feeling like it's been a real labor carrying the weight of the situation. Now, the reason why I say that this seems to be more so pointed at you is the High Priestess is coming up, and she's coming up upright. So the High Priestess talks about your vision. She represents like the act of sitting and waiting and receiving, or she's somebody who also just likes to observe, right? So there's a sense of observing other people and observing, you know, how you are handling some of the things that are going on. Are you sitting in grief and finding that you're getting stuck and there's no forward motion? Are you unwilling to, you know, make changes in your own life outside of the relationship just for you personally? I think that this in the center right now is saying sometimes this can be a card that talks about already knowing the answer. Like if you know that it's going to take a lot of hard work and effort to be able to swing it, you know, financially without him. It looks like you're already mentally starting to go through the process, or you're already starting to kind of start thinking about, okay, how can I create that reality to make this transition easier? Like part of your mind is already there. The High Priestess is also about sitting back and watching or listening. So I'm also curious, have you been more observant of just your partner's behavior and this feeling that it doesn't matter what you do, you're not really getting the same treatment, or you're not seeing the same effort from him? And is that getting you to be less reactionary and more reflective, right? So it's like maybe you spend 2 or 3 days not going out of your way for that other person, and then you see like, okay, you know, I'm not cooking, cleaning, I'm not, you know, running errands, I'm focusing more on myself, and I'm starting to observe how it's actually affecting him, and where he's becoming more aware that when I'm turning the energy on me, and if I'm not feeling like somebody is being receptive of what I'm bringing to the table, all of a sudden he goes, wait a second, well, what's going on with this? What's going on with that? And you're like, I'm working on me. I'm doing me right now, you know? So instead of becoming reactionary, it's saying, okay, make lemonade, observe his behavior, but really turn the attention on you, because you can't change the other person. You can only work on your end of things. The High Priestess can also be a really good card that comes up in the right now that's talking about paying attention to your dreams, sitting, meditating, thinking about what's coming up for you intuitively. And then the Three of Pentacles is like a work in progress. Interesting that it came up twice, okay? Shuffle the deck, came up twice. In the same position, which is saying it's a work in progress. This is a work in progress. It might mean that you're giving this a certain amount of time, or that you're in the process of kind of getting yourself ready, working on yourself, and making the physical and financial changes necessary to be able to better kind of facilitate, you know, going in the direction that you need to. Because these are very material driven cards. This is like, okay, if it's not working, am I going to make enough money on my own? You know, am I going to be able to survive without this other person? In a way, you're already, like I said, mentally there, where you're starting to kind of put the pieces together and planning, if you do ultimately decide to leave, if you're going to be self-sufficient. If what you're asking is, hey, if it's not going to work, am I going to be okay? The cards are saying you're going to be fine. You're going to end up coming out the other side of this, and you're going to be very driven, and you're going to be successful. But it's interesting that what you're really asking is, what's going on with your relationship? I guess the question is are you working too hard? Is there too much of you giving in this relationship, right? Giving money, giving time, giving resources, whatever, feeling like you're being sucked dry and you're actually losing touch with yourself. So this may not actually be a spread that's saying, oh, the relationship's not going to work. It's saying, why don't you rework the energy, refocus it on yourself. And when you start observing that somebody is realizing that you are not necessarily catering to them anymore, it's number one, working on you, healing you, building yourself up, helping align with your vision. But also it's giving that other person the room to step up. And if they're not doing it, then you're going to be able to move forward and start making decisions. But nothing here is saying that this is definitively over. Very interesting. It's saying that you're willing to do the work, but I would say the work is more so on you and working on controlling and changing the things that you can change, and also your vision, because this can be like you going, well, I'm working and I'm doing this and I'm doing that and I'm doing this, but your vision may be so focused on what you're doing that when you step back and you're not doing something all of the time, you're going to really give that person an opportunity to make changes. This is going to be a big theme for the rest of the year for a lot of people. We're going to start seeing where our actions are not necessarily a clear reflection of how we're feeling. We're going to see like Mars square Neptune setting up back and forth over the fall. So a lot of people are going to realize like, oh, I'm in this relationship and I'm going through the motions and like what's going on? Like I'm showing up, but we're not connecting. This is saying connect to yourself. And I would give this a working period of like 3 weeks, 3 months, maybe making some of these changes over the immediate next 3 months and focusing more on yourself and seeing where that's actually giving you more clarity, because you may feel like, hey, if I'm doing this by myself, I might as well be alone. But there's nothing definitive here that's saying that this is going to end. It's saying that it's a work in progress, okay? Hopefully that's helpful. Who else do we got here? Shwana and Tonya. If you guys want to get readings, we got a couple people in the queue, but you can scan the QR code and you can get in. What's up, Spacebug? Hi, I am Love. We still have openings. We're gonna keep taking people for like another half an hour. Hey, Martina. All right, so let's look at Shwana. Shwana, I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Reading, my bad, I got you. Let me know your question. Let's see, did you send it in the first one? Let me know, there she is. What's going on with this new beginning in career love? I just closed out a heavy cycle. I'm feeling really good lately. Well, that's good. I'm glad to hear that. Let's take a look. Yeah, you can super chat. Sure. So let's see what's going on with these cycles with career and love. If we pull through Pentacles again, I quit. I quit. 1, 2, 3. Knight of Pentacles, Page of Wands reversed, 4 of Cups. I mean, I gotta tell you, to me, it looks like you kind of blasted through anything if you have been feeling like the energy has just been stagnant or blah. You know, I'm looking at that 4 of Cups reversed, and it's like this realization that like if it's not like a heck yes, it's a heck no. So maybe there's been this feeling of like cleaning house across the board and really needing like new energy. I find it interesting that to me, it literally is saying, you know, it's about career, Pentacles, and love, yeah, but more passion, more excitement. If it's like, if you're feeling like something's been stuck, like you're clearing that out. Knight of Pentacles tells me that there is new news on the horizon in regards to like new work, new opportunities for making money, for resources. Maybe you're venturing into areas that you haven't considered going into, and you're being a little bit more courageous with what you're doing in terms of some of your professional stuff. Knights can bring messages. So remember, they're on horses. So it can be somebody who's like, hey, you know, do you want to work together? Or a job that you saw that you applied for. It can also be talking about taking the necessary steps to move forward and actually get serious about making more money, bringing in more resources. He is the most grounded of all of the knights, though. So it says like you're not making any risky moves, you're not investing a bunch of money, you're not quitting your job suddenly, and if you do, then you have some kind of like stability or some savings or some backup. Like this isn't a very chaotic card. This also comes up when you're focused on having long-term stability, because the next would be the Queen of Coins, who's like, okay, you know, I feel good emotionally about where I'm at financially. So to me, it seems like you're taking the necessary steps and moves or actions to be able to bring in more stable resources and feel like you're doing something that you're more passionate about. Look for earth signs. You know, whenever I see like any of the royal family that shows up. It can be actual people. So there can be like Tauruses, Capricorns, Virgos, people who come into your life that are like, hey, I have an offer for you. Or I know somebody who would be perfect, who could need your help. Like, let me connect you, because there's people who might start doing that. This can also be something about like business and travel, or going and like looking outside of like your typical place or city where you would work, or outside of your usual kind of profession. For the right now, and this is also, I think, touching on the love stuff, is you have the Page of Wands reversed. So this is saying like there is a sense of detachment going on in the love life. Like there is a sense of remaining more open and optimistic and playful. And it doesn't mean that you're just kind of anything goes with love right now, but you're certainly not going to participate in anything unless you feel like it's going to be fun, or it's going to actually bring you something that's going to be more exciting. Wands are more sexual cards. These are more about passion. It's not like the ooey gooey romance. Like this is kind of like, I need something or someone that can keep up with me. I need something that's going to be exciting and that's going to feel sexy and fulfilling. And it may mean that you're more open to taking risks when it comes to relationships, but it also means like you can be a little fickle right now, or you can be a little particular with like who you're actually going to be spending your time with. So there's something going on here where you're like, you might change your mind a lot about people, or you might decide that you want to kind of date a couple people and see what's out there and like feel it out, rather than feeling like you have to lock yourself into something. Because the Page of Wands likes the idea of the chase or the excitement, or it's willing to meet people in different ways. But when it's reversed, it's saying some people could look at this as like, oh, are you a player? Like, what's going on? Like, how many people are you talking to? So the energy is shifting away from possibly being too cautious, being kind of bogged down or not open or stuck on one person, to being like, I want to sample and see what's out there before I really kind of limit my potential, options when it comes to like dating, and really looking for something or someone that can be more passionate or more spontaneous and kind of fun. And you're giving yourself the freedom to act and behave that way more so when it comes to anything. To me, it seems like you're just more open about doing things differently and either having more playtime or having more authenticity in your life. Four of Cups reversed. So this is saying that you're coming out of a period where you have been focusing on what hasn't been working or what hasn't been fulfilling. In this card, you see a guy who's at a dinner party and everybody's drinking and having a good time and they're cheersing each other, but it's reversed. So it's saying you're coming out of a period of being like, I don't like anyone, nothing's working, this isn't fun, to like turning everything on its head and being like, you know what, we're gonna shake things up. Like I'm not gonna focus on what hasn't been working, and if something has been stuck, then I basically cut it off or set it free, so that way I can create space for new things to come in. So it's like, yeah, sometimes you do have to go, the person that I've been kind of seeing is meh, my job is underwhelming, like, and putting a little bit of a fire under your ass, so that way you're putting yourself in situations that do feel more exciting, or they do feel more uplifting. And that you're coming out of like a funk. And maybe this is like also you going and like surrounding yourself with different people or new people, or the willingness to kind of socialize with others who you wouldn't usually hang out with, or putting yourself in new environments that are going to be outside of your comfort zone, right? That's the other kind of feeling that I'm getting looking at this. So you don't feel like you're sitting around being like, I'm bored, this is boring. Like you're trying to kind of kick up the momentum a little bit. So you might be feeling like you're coming out of a funk, honestly. I think the Four of Cups is when it comes up reversed, it's just reminding you that you have to keep things moving. And even though you might feel like right now you're in some new territory, and the way that you're kind of choosing to go about either your professional or your love life a little bit more, to me, it seems like you're getting more grounded in what's going on with your career, and you're giving, less of a care about your love life. And if somebody shows up, they show up. And if they don't, but you're focused on living more in the moment and really enjoying yourself right now. And maybe that's like, so you're not getting too hung up emotionally on certain people and feeling distracted from your professional life, if that makes sense. Hopefully that's helpful for you. Great sequence there, really kind of getting your groove back. We've also got Tonya. No worries, Spacebug. Who else did we have here? So we've got one more person in the queue. Those of you guys who want to get a reading, you guys can sign up and you can donate. Tonya. Tonya says, Mystic Road. I'm planning to quit my job I'm planning to quit my current full-time job. Thinking of turning my notice in next week for mid-September exit. Plan is to do consulting work and focus on building my own metaphysical business. How will this work out? Let's take a look. You're welcome. Glad to hear you're coming out of a funk. All right, so for Tonya and quitting her job, planning to exit in the fall, focusing on consulting in her own business. Let's see how this is going to work out for her. Certainly been there, done that. Always an exhilarating experience, leaving your muggle job to go and work for yourself. All right, so we've got the Sun, the World, the Queen of Cups reversed. In spite of the Queen of Cups reversed, this is a pretty damn good spread, I have to say. If somebody's asking me about making career changes and they're like, should I quit my job? Is it going to be okay? Will this work out? Like, what's going to happen? Probably the two best cards you could pull would probably be the Sun and the World card, honestly. You know? I would advise you to not get too caught up in the emotional trauma drama of what do they think? What are they going to say? You know, am I going to be okay? Because you emotionally with that Queen of Cups reverse can literally be holding yourself back. Like you can be the person who's getting in your own way, you know? The Queen of Cups, when it comes up reverse, sometimes can also be like, am I seeing things accurately? Am I seeing the future appropriately? Like, can I trust in this? Can I believe in this? Am I being idealistic? I'm curious, is this something that you're going back to? Like, was this something that you started in the past and you were like, yes, I'm going to keep up with this, and then you didn't, or you didn't do it consistently, or you put it on the back burner? Because the Sun in the World card is saying, like, you have been through this cycle before, or that this was started, but it may not be complete. Because there were other things that came up for you, either in your personal life or emotionally, or things that really kind of hindered you from being able to feel like you could do this potentially full time. Still, the Sun is the career card, so that's saying, like, with what you're doing professionally. What's your rising sign and your Sun sign? Because right now the Sun's going through Leo, so I'm wondering if there's something really prominent happening on one of your angles that's like shining a light on this. But yeah, the Sun card is saying happiness, fulfillment, joy, you know, anything in regards to pride, something that's personal to you, a birth or a launch. So it might signify that there is like a relaunch going on, or that you're reworking something about your business in general and like how you're going to be presenting it. So that might be something I would take into consideration. The World card is also saying like it's already complete, meaning you have already flushed this out, or you've started it in the past, or you have already committed to the fact that you're like, I'm quitting my job. Like you might already have your letter of quitting written. Like you already made your mind up. I've been working on feeling guilty about leaving. I started in the spring, then turned to focus on selling a home, and now ready to move on. Yeah, Virgo Rising, so exciting. So if you have a Virgo Rising, I would say that if it's not for the sake of your schedule, your health, like making that change with Saturn in your 6th, square Uranus in your 9th, is like this realization that's like something's got to change, because the schedule can be way too much on your health with the current job that you're working, honestly. I feel like perhaps maybe this realization came up for you, especially kind of at the turn of the year, which made sense. There was like a Venus retrograde in your 5th house, and you were like, what makes me happy? What do I want to work on? And You're saying you're going to quit your job. You have to understand that you were going to juggle 2 jobs, or you were going to go back and forth about whether or not you want to go back to an old job anyway. And that's the Mars retrograde in your 10th. As long as you're not launching this during the Mars retrograde, I think you're fine. You might want to look for like a Mars trine Saturn situation, so that's at least going to feel a little bit more solid. But even when Mars trines, I'm going to pull the date for you right now. Even when Mars trines Saturn, which is going to be, it's laying the groundwork for you having something more solid. I have a feeling that it's because it's in shadow, you're still reworking something. Okay, so Mars is going to be in a trine with Saturn pretty much the first week of October. So if you're looking to like launch something, find some transits, you know, possibly from, you know, the end of September to early October. That's going to at least have the stability in the trine to Saturn. Mars going retrograde also might mean that they offer you more money to stay, or they try to ask you if you'd be willing to stay longer so you could potentially help somebody else through the transition and do some kind of training or hiring. So I would say be prepared for that. But the Queen of Cups makes sense. I mean, like, oh, I'm feeling guilty. I'm feeling bad about the fact that I'm leaving. But I look at this and I'm like, no, you're not missing anything. I think with Jupiter on your sun, you got to go big and go home. And having Jupiter transit the 8th house where your sun is, it's about unlocking your psychic talents and abilities and not doubting your vision. And it can be really hard when you like do that for a living, you know, like when you're reading for other people, there can be this sense of like, I can't see for myself. I always tell people, it's like, you can't use the superpower on yourself. It doesn't work the same way. But what you're working through is any of the doubt, not necessarily just guilt about leaving, but the doubt, because you're going to leave one way or another. And quite frankly, you don't want to wait till the Mars retrograde happens. Because when Mars retrogrades and it opposes planets in your 4th house and it's going to square Neptune, you're going to realize that you needed a lot of flexibility when it comes to your career anyway at the later part of this year. And it would have made sense for you to start making that segue. So I think it's going to be fine. I think you're going to do well. I think it's just more about kind of getting out of your own way and not doubting your vision for what it is that you're going to be working on, you know? Yeah, go for it. I think it's good timing also. You know, you got to keep in mind if Jupiter is in Aries, it's about being courageous and it's going through your 8th house. So it's also about tackling areas of like, what do I charge? How do I do my taxes? You know, how do I handle my accounting? Like there are things that you have to learn. And certainly because Jupiter rules your 4th house, there's also going to be like deductions and things relating to your home office that you're going to have to go and learn about. And Jupiter going into, you know, your 8th and 9th house over the next year, I would say also learning about marketing or other ways that you can kind of boost your business. Or maybe you'll be considering like a retreat, or maybe you'll be considering like training. Something like that might emerge also. So it's going to give you like different avenues to be able to expand, you know, what you're doing. But listen, if you got your sun in the 8th house, I mean, having Jupiter go through there is a once in a 12-year period for rebirth. And it's about really shining a light on the dark and like what you're afraid of. So be looking at mantras and meditations and like prayers and things relating to like courage. I think that can be really helpful. Like I think 8th house Aries like reminds me of like Athena, you know, or like Kali. Like these might be like deities that you want to kind of be connecting with. That's really going to help you. Very exciting. That's such exciting. Yeah, definitely do it. Definitely do it. But I'll tell anybody to quit their muggle job and work for themselves, honestly. So who am I to say? Good luck with that. Very exciting. Let's see who else we have here. Coltrane. Thank you for your donation. What new shifts are coming in my career relationship? I had to quit my job because I left a bad situation, slowly getting into crypto, trading to work for myself and not limit my earning potential. I know relationships aren't coming till November 2022 and next year because of Jupiter retrograde in your 7th. Libra rising 29 degrees. But the real question is, can you decide what you want to eat for dinner? Libra 29 degrees. Even though you're a Libra rising, One thing that I'll tell you is that the precursor to Jupiter going into your 7th house Placidus is going to be the Mars retrograde, because you are going to have Mars retrograde going through your 8th house, and it's about clearing anything in regards to intimacy and security and getting open and ready for relationships. This deck is not, I'm not feeling this deck. Let's switch decks. Sometimes they get sassy. They just don't want to participate. Feel the resistance and just shuffling it. All right. So let's take a look about the coming shifts in your career and your relationships. I mean, part of what's happening is, you got Pluto on your IC. Oh, hello. You got Pluto on your IC. So there's a huge internal shift going on, and when a planet crosses an angle, it affects the polarity. So Pluto on your IC is getting you to change and transform your inner world, therefore it's changing your outer world. 29 degrees of Cancer. Where's your moon? So let's take a look at what the cards have to say about the new shifts. Crypto's smart if you're having Saturn in your whole sign 5th square, Uranus in your 8th. 1, 2, 3. Taurus moon. 7th house or 8th house? Holy cow, that world card is like bang bang. You and Mystic Road talking about making changes. The Tower, the World, and the 7 of Coins, the 7 of Cups reversed. So, the shit already kind of has hit the fan. I mean, the Tower is like, had to get out of that situation, had to leave that place behind, had to leave that job. I mean, it's behind you, okay? So if you have a Taurus moon, regardless of what degree it is, having Uranus going through the 8th house whole sign, having Mars going through the 8th house, this is telling me that it's like anything that you're afraid of or that could potentially disrupt your stability is possibly going to come up for review. So if it's fear of not having money, you're going to see job changes. If it's fears of intimacy, you're going to see old kind of habits and fears coming up in regards to relationships. It's a period where there is like some soul cleansing and purification, and it's a great time to also be looking at where you want to remove yourself from sticky contracts. So if it's like people you've been working for that were already, you weren't vibing with, so be it, they're gone. This is what happens when we go through the 8th house. So right now, Mars going through your whole sign 8th house is really, for you, it's in your 7th, but it's going to go into your 8th. This is going to be more about changing and transforming the way that you look at getting stability from other people and not feeling like you need to rely on other people for security. Whether it's a partner, whether it's a job, whether it's family, like whatever, like you're learning to basically go through the purification 8th house process and go like, okay, nothing scares me, right? And it's about self-sustainability too. So it's about you being like, okay, I can do it on my own. And I would say don't get too comfortable being there. It's about clearing out the past and making space so that new partnerships can come into your life. The Tower's like, yeah, the shit hit the fan. And the World card is saying you're finally clearing out old patterns that have needed to go for some time. So if you've been reluctant to really get over somebody, let somebody go, heal. If you've been reluctant to have left a job, whatever, now you're clearing all of this out. World card is great in the center position because it makes me feel like, no, you're not missing anything. Like you really are clearing things out so that way you have a chance at a fresh start. And then we finally have here the 7 of Cups, but it's coming up reversed. So 7 of Cups is saying for me, you are in a situation where you're like, no illusions. I need complete transparency. I need to know who or what I'm getting involved with. Like if I'm going to get involved with somebody, I want to know everything. I want to see their soul. If I'm going to get involved in something financially, I need to know everything. So I'm not going to have the wool pulled over my eyes, or I'm not going to be in a situation where I'm getting myself into something where I don't know what I'm doing. Super smart, especially be careful with some of the Mars, Uranus stuff and the squares to Saturn. There can be some blind spots when it comes to investing, especially over the next month. Be very careful because Mars going through your 8th house, where Saturn can be losses. Specifically, having Saturn going through your 4th house Placidus right now with a square to Mars is borrowing or lending from people to make investments, or borrowing or lending with family to pay the bills. Like, don't be willing to gamble anything that you don't have. It's just for the immediate next like 2.5 weeks, I would be very careful. But the 7 of Cups reversed is saying like you're starting to remove this idea of fantasy or getting lost in what could be from your life. You're like, I want something solid. I want clarity. And what I love about 29 degrees of any sign is like, that's that like jump off point. That's like when you jump off the diving board and you're getting ready to wrap up all the lessons in one area and you're going into the next. 29 degrees of Libra is, okay, I've been indecisive, or I've been putting other people first, or I've been focusing on how things look, but not necessarily what is secure, what's stable. This is like where you take the mask off, right? Because one thing I've noticed about Libra versus Scorpio, and sometimes I see this with progressions, is that, you know, Libra will trade honesty for peace. Like, they'll be willing to overlook things and like be passive about stuff, whatever. But Scorpio is willing to trade peace for truth. And so I think that that's what you're learning is like, you know, do I go along with something because it looks good and other people are going to like it and it's going to be comfortable, it's going to look pretty, or am I willing to kind of get my hands dirty and be willing to make some, you know, have some hard discussions and like really kind of clear things out with people if that's what needs to happen. It's part of your karmic lesson if you have Libra 29 on your ascendant, and it's about learning to pick a lane and stay with it. So Pluto squaring your ascendant is realizing, if I don't get more decisive about the life that I want to live, how I want to feel, how I'm making money, blah, 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 it's going to make it harder for you to get involved in relationships. So I would go and learn about that transit. But right now, where you're going is because you've already kind of wrapped up old cycles. You're like, you know what? When I start looking at things in a realistic sense and I'm taking off the rose-colored glasses, or I'm getting sober, or I'm practicing seeing things for what they are, or I'm not putting people or situations in pedestals, or I'm not buying into get rich quick schemes. When you're practicing sobriety and reality, you're going to see very clearly like what is going to work and what isn't. So you're looking at things very matter-of-factly, basically. And I would say continue to keep reminding yourself of that with that 7 of Cups that's coming up reversed. I think it's really important that you ask yourself, is this stable? Is this secure? Is this going to make me money? Is this going to bring me happiness? Is this healthy for me? I want you to get into the habit of asking yourself that. But it does look like these changes are positive. Yes, obviously, Jupiter going back into Aries is going to be, you know, really positive in any capacity next year. But you're going to see Jupiter also go into Taurus. So it sounds like you know about the transits, but just being in Aries will bring you something as well. It's likely that you start talking to somebody who you have some similar kind of interests in, or maybe you meet them through work or while traveling, or somebody who's of service to you as Jupiter's hanging out in your 6th house. You can meet them in a gym or anything in regards to training as well. So that might actually end up playing out as you're developing more of your new skills. But yeah, this is about leaving the past behind you. You're not missing anything. Very interesting that combinations have come out twice now. Lots of Tower World card. There's lots of Tower moments for people right now. Oh, we got another 6 minutes. So if anybody wants to get a reading, you can get in the queue before I'm back in a week. Are there any other level 3 people here? So to make sure I'm not missing anyone. Oh man, this PayPal. It's possessed. Okay, there we go. Hopefully that's helpful, Black Lace. You let me know. Give you guys another couple minutes before we call it a day. Oh. Hello, Sue. You got in there right at the end. Let me know what your question is. I'll read for you. I got Olga. Just got yours, Olga. So Sue, let me know your question. General for work. So I got Sue and then Olga. I'll be with you in just a second. All right, let's take a look. So this is general for work. That card seems to want to be read. All right, so we got 1, 2, 3. Oh, there was another card that popped out, but I will leave that for the end. The Devil coming up, right side up, followed by the 8 of Coins reversed and the Queen of Swords. To me, this is like having conversations about being like, yeah, feeling overworked. I mean, I think a lot of people could feel like that right now. The Devil is a card that talks about feeling oppressed or responsibility or feeling very limited or feeling stuck. So this can be like a boss that doesn't want to let you go. This can be feeling like you're stuck in a position, not knowing how to break free of something. That's the other way that I can interpret that. This is energy that deals with Saturn as well. So when this card comes up, it talks about like a feeling of heaviness. So if there has been blocks or challenges relating to career or anything where you have feeling like it's been you've been unable to find something that makes you feel like you can have freedom or that you can flourish, that's in the past, okay? Now we have the 8 of Pentacles coming up reverse. So this is kind of feeling like, I feel like I'm getting stuck in doing something that doesn't feel productive, or it doesn't feel like it's my end all be all, or I'm feeling like I am working too hard and I'm not really getting enough freedom. Something about this is coming up. This can also be talking about like being contractually limited or being told you can't do something or not being able to work. So sometimes that can come up together. When I see these two also, it can just be like a very demanding workspace or a boss that's expecting too much out of you or feeling like the pressure of not being able to break out of a routine, like something very rigid. Then we have the Queen of Swords coming up. So I don't know what sign you are. Sometimes this can talk about an air sign. It can talk about a woman who's like speaking her voice, using her voice, speaking up, saying something and being like, here it is. It may be talking about the fact that you've been holding back on really talking about that you haven't been happy in a situation and that it's taken time for you to either speak up about it, vocalize it, acknowledge it. This can be talking about air signs. So it can involve, you know, Geminis, Aquariuses, Libras, anything in regards to, you know, being like, hey, you know, I have something to say. Now, if that's not your sign, it's funny, I'll get to that in a second. You say you're a Cancer. This is about recognizing on a mental state, because this is about mental energy. It's the element of air, where there can be frustration, resentment, issues with communication, you know, problems being able to speak up. And it's affecting like your mental health, or it's affecting your ability to feel like you can think clearly because you're super bogged down with something. Sometimes this can also be having like a harsh conversation with a woman or somebody who's giving you some kind of constructive criticism. So that's the other way that I could look at this. This could also be just like bosses that are demanding, or you who's really stressed out thinking about like, you know, how am I going to get myself out of this situation? I feel like I'm spinning my wheels. So I pulled 3 cards, but a 4th card jumped out. So I wanted to pull this card and show you because it seems to be confirmation. This is Chariot. So the Chariot is the card for Cancer. So it seems like it was jumping out because it wanted to acknowledge either you, or it can also be saying that it's time to get the ducks in a row and finally have conversations if there's been something going on at work, and being more assertive if there's been problems there. Now, the Chariot card can also be about being defensive. So it can basically be being on the defense, standing up for yourself, standing your ground, speaking your truth, speaking your piece. And it can also be talking about needing to address things that are highly emotional for you. Someone lied about me at work and it bothers me. Okay, so it's speaking up and saying something. Especially because the Queen of Swords is your truth. So the fact that the Chariot's coming up and it's your calling card, right? This is the card for Cancer. It's basically saying like, if it's something that bothers you, say something. Because you may feel like being in this work environment and holding this in and not being able to say something, or feeling that you're working in a space with somebody who's got some ulterior motives or some intention to want to kind of drag you down or to want to make themselves look better and put you down, like there's a need to say something. And especially because the Eight of Pentacles reversed is saying like it's going to be hard for you to feel like you can be productive there while you have this on your mind, and that there's a need to kind of come out with it. You know what I'm saying? I think it's important that you say that. I will also tell you that the Chariot coming up is saying that if you don't do this, it could be a situation where there could be something that comes up emotionally that it like comes out of the blue and you say something and it rubs you the wrong way, and it can create more issues down the road. And if it's not something you want to take up with that person, you know, the Queen of Swords and the Devil can be like not having a conversation with that person, but having a conversation with somebody who's going to be higher up or somebody who is a superior, to basically be like, look, I don't want any problems, but I have become aware that people are saying things that are not true, and I feel the need to kind of confront this and kind of nip this in the bud now. So that way I feel like I'm getting out with this and there aren't any issues in the work environment down the road, you know? All right, hopefully that is helpful. What's up, Steve? I've got you. I will read for you. I've also got somebody else who popped in here. That was, oh, we got two people, Olga and Megan. So Olga, Megan, Steve. So we'll take Olga and then Steve. Be with you in just a second, Steve. Olga says, a 3-card reading, anything that comes up. Leo Sun, Cap Rising, Sag Moon. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Steve. Pluto is exact his natal Mercury. That is a tough one. All right, Olga, let's take a look and see what the cards say for you. All right, so we have the High Priestess, 5 of Cups, excuse me, 5 of Coins, reverse, 10 of Cups. Wow, what polar opposite cards. You're welcome, Sue. So we've got the High Priestess, which talks about vision and receptivity, tuning into things. It also talks about the fact that maybe you've been focusing more on intuitive development and getting grounded and feeling like you have a sense of vision into the future to bring you more stability. Especially if you've been trying to see your way through, you know, just trying to see your way through some difficult situations. I mean, 5 of Coins, whether it's upright or it's reversed, the 5 of Coins talks about coming out of the cold, having faced some health or some financial setbacks or some work setbacks, or having been in a situation where things have been difficult and they have felt very limiting, or you have felt like you've been kind of left to your own or left on your own to handle or manage some of this stuff. And the High Priestess is saying it's all about perception, and that you've been kind of relaying or relying on some of your spiritual studies or your mystical studies or something to kind of see the silver lining in some situations, right? It's also saying, what am I learning from this? You know, what is the purpose of this? Like, what is the takeaway? So that way you're not feeling like you're stuck in that and that you can't get out of those patterns. 5 of Coins, when it's reversed, it's saying coming out from the cold and into some kind of shelter. So it's saying you're getting more stability, and you might be seeing a pickup in money and resources. Better health also can be coming up, and you can be feeling like you're getting some kind of support from other people, but that you've learned something from this period of kind of going through a rough patch. Followed by the 10 of Cups. So like I said, couldn't be more polar opposite cards. I think it's interesting that to go from the High Priestess to the 10 of Cups, maybe it's like what's been getting you through has been your commitment to your vision for the future, and that you've been really adamant about, no, I know this is coming for me. I know this is my future. I've seen it in a dream. I'm believing in it. I'm visualizing. This is the Happy Ever After card. So it's saying, like, regardless of what difficult things that have been going on, not only are you able to see yourself out of it, but you're going to have some like kind of come up or period where it's like it was going to be worth whatever it is that you went through. There wasn't going to be a sense of, you know, these things happening in vain. Sometimes this is also saying like you've had family, or you've had somebody close to you, or you've been going through something where there has been some really difficult either health or kind of like emotional turmoil or financial challenges. And that at the other end of that, there's something to celebrate because there's like a big come up, there's a glow up. 10 of Cups is being with the family, celebrating, having health, having happiness, relationships working out. So maybe it's like reminding yourself that on the other side of whatever it is that you've been experiencing, that there is going to be like a rainbow or like a pot of gold, and that you wouldn't be going through the experiences you're going through now unless there was some kind of lesson. Glass is half full, silver lining, trying to see the lessons in whatever has been happening for you, and possibly like turning inward and practicing a state of just reflecting and also taking note of what your intuition is telling you or what vision you're holding for the future. Seems to be really important. This is also about transcending the third dimension, because I see like the Five of Pentacles is like, I'm hungry, I'm cold, I'm tired, I don't have any money, like, and realizing that if you're in that vibrational field, it's not something that's going to help you lift or like ascend. Like, you can't really shift things vibrationally and bring new things into your life unless you have those experiences and you learn to supersede the third dimension. That's a lot of the reason why we're here, right? We keep coming back onto this planet because we're having this lesson that we have to learn how to feel pain. We have to, deal also with disappointment. We have to have all of the feelings to be able to go through all of the lessons to be able to ascend. So it looks like you're focusing less on the why is this happening to me, and you're focusing more on what is the purpose for these things that have taken place? What am I learning from this, so that way I can move through this more swiftly and I'm not learning these lessons over and over or getting stuck in this situation. All is well that ends well. And I do see like some major accomplishment that's coming from what you've been learning. And then also possibly I could see this as like wanting to share your insights on what these experiences have taught you. It's like we don't really feel alive sometimes until we have a broken heart, or we don't really appreciate our health until we get sick, or we don't really, realize what we had until it was gone. So there can be like lessons that are coming from some of these situations, and you wanting to share like, oh, this is my experience and this is how I came up and this is how I shifted my reality with other people, and wanting to talk to other people about how they can do the same thing for themselves, because you are the high priestess, you're the guide for helping people kind of connect things and go, happiness is a choice, right? If we have these experiences, we're having these experiences, and we're going to get stuck here if we're focusing on it. So you might be somebody who's sharing that insight about being able to pull yourself out of some of those difficult situations. Really interesting spread. Hopefully that's helpful for you. We've got Steve. Finally, I caught you. I'm sorry to hear about your father. It's difficult. So Sun conjunct your natal Pluto today. You're very welcome. Let's take a look at what the cards have to say to you, Steve, and what guidance they can give you, unless you have a particular question. Sometimes they do that. Magic tricks. The card that jumped out for you was the Nine of Coins. We're not going to base the whole reading on this, but I'm just going to tell you, Nine of Coins in particular, this is going to deal specifically with financial independence. Sometimes this is a card of having luxury, bringing in more, feeling secure on your own, feeling at peace on your own. This can also be the card that talks about coming into more financial stability, like having more independence in your finances. Sometimes this can also be a card of an inheritance, because this card is about bringing everything in, and then it's like, well, what do I do with it? Now, sometimes it's money, sometimes it's property, sometimes it's just having an excess of something. If you have been in a period of feeling like you've been struggling or working really hard to bring more substance into your life. So when the Nine of Coins comes up, this is also the card for Virgo. This is about being in a situation where you have something that comes to you and you're like, I'm going to do good things with this. I'm not going to just sell the house or blow the money, or I'm not just going to, pawn all of the jewelry. Like, there's something that comes of it that's like, I'm going to do something noble with this. So whatever like abundance is coming into your life right now, it seems to be something that is meant to kind of show you like you have security, you have stability, especially if you've been working really hard, And it's a time to be able to kind of turn inward and feel like you have a little bit more financial strength. All right. So let's take a look at what the cards say, but that jumped out for you. 1, 2, 3. The Lovers, the Two of Cups, the Eight of Cups. Well, this is interesting because it in a way, it talks about union and setting free. Coming together with another person and setting them free. It can be referencing just what you've been experiencing recently. You know, the Lovers talks about options and choices and different paths and polarity and different dynamics. It's about kind of recognizing where we have choices and that when we meet with other people, we can show and express love. This isn't just limited to just sexual love. Traditionally, the Lovers card had the twins for Gemini on there. So it shows that we can see ourselves in other people, that there is a sense of duality, even though we're seeing a similar reflection. So perhaps the Lovers card coming up can be talking about you reflecting on having made connections with family recently, coming back together, joining them before like a send-off. You know, the Eight of Cups can be a send-off. It could also be talking about that, you know, there is something going on where there's more contact with siblings or cousins or aunts or uncles, because that's what the Lovers card can also represent, like having to come together with other people and showing and expressing some kind of care. But it's also what other people bring to the table. So that Two of Cups can be like, you know, allowing other people to be there to support you, right? It's not just about, oh, let's meet and have dinner. It's like, well, what do you have to help me? Because there's something healing and therapeutic in this. So it's saying there can be a lot of medicine in being around other people right now. Perhaps maybe the farewell or the releasing or the letting go, or maybe just going and being in a space while you're in this transition with your family before saying goodbye has been important, because you realize that there is love there among some of these people, or among the relationship with your parent, that there is support there, that there is a need to kind of communicate and talk to them and exchange in some way. Maybe it's also getting you to think about like that life is short. The Eight of Cups, sometimes when it comes up in the final position, it's like life is short. Like we never know when somebody's going to leave or somebody is going to depart. So it's getting you to think about talking to people and telling them how you feel while you're in their presence or while they're in your life. So it can be talking about like you reflecting on relationships and being like, wow, do I want a relationship? You know, who's coming and showing up for me right now? Like who is helping support me? And if you don't have that, it's being like, okay, do I want more of that? Am I opening the door to a relationship to come in? Can also talk about ventures or journeys as well, because the Eight of Cups can do that. There's a woman coming into my life again, platonic travelers. Yeah, okay. So, I mean, okay, so there you go. The Lovers card can be romantic or platonic. Honestly, these two cards together are romantic, but the Eight of Cups seems to suggest that if there's nothing panning out in a romantic sense, you can still travel together, but you may be moving on or holding space for another person in a romantic sense, if that makes sense to you. But still, if people are coming into your life, if there's a connection, if there's something that you guys can do together, there's a lot of companionship here. I feel like it can be positive, but it's more a period of you letting people come in and help you feel supported. I don't think she's the only one, because these are two situations. One can be more friendly, one can be more romantic, right? One can be talking about platonic love, one can be talking about, you know, future potential romantic connections. I think that you may be opening up more to it, to be honest with you, just kind of looking at some of these transits, and that you might be starting to think to yourself, like, what is it that I have to do to start the process to really move on and kind of also like heal from the past? If there have been things that have kept you from moving forward in romantic relationships, or like doubting whether or not you can move forward with somebody into the future. Because sometimes the Eight of Cups is like the Lone Ranger. It's kind of like reminds me of like the Hermit card. And it can be saying like, yeah, there's love there, but I'm good. No, I'm not really looking for that. So keep in mind, there might be opportunities floating around you with people who are around you in your life, or who you're meeting while you're traveling, or who are approaching you, that you may not even realize there's a potential for a romantic connection there. Like you might be like, you don't even see it. And you're so quick to just be like, okay, we had our connection. It was fun. It was nice seeing you. You know, now I'm on my way. that they're like, wait, where are you going? And you may not even recognize that. So be careful not to, if you're open to a romantic relationship, be careful not to try to leave the party too soon, or be on a hurry to kind of like go in a different direction, because there might be something there that you don't want to walk away from. Be open to companionship. People want to spend time with you. So let people do that. It's really going to help you feel supported in the midst of this. And if you do need a short distance trip, getting away, a little bit of travel or something like that, it looks like it's a good idea. Okay. Hopefully that is helpful for you, Steve. Sending you lots of love in the midst of your loss. That can be difficult. Thank you for being a member. It's nice that I got to chat with you. And let's see, we got Megan. I love those 4s. Thank you, Megan. Help! Who's blocking me? Let's take a look. Who is blocking you? Page of Cups, Ten of Swords, the Knight of Swords. Ooh, drama. Knight of Cups coming up for you with the Ten of Swords is talking about like someone who you might have had some kind of like a painful ending with. I mean, the Page of Cups could have been a romantic connection, somebody who's like a bit scorned on the emotional department, who you had a falling out with that might have ended kind of ugly. And to me, it seems like it's something that's more, it's not significant. It's not significant on your end. Let me put it that way. Page of Cups can be somebody who like feels like you cut them off, or that you didn't give them a fair shot, or that you weren't, you know, sharing your feelings with them, or that you weren't opening up, and that there was some kind of disappointment. Sometimes it can be water signs, so Cancer, Pisces, Scorpio. But that coming up with the Knight of Swords, I'm wondering, like, has there been somebody who you feel like wasn't giving you your space, or wasn't honoring your space? Does that make sense? It is something you can shake off, though. Like when I say the Page of Cups coming up, it seems like that could be like a cleanse or a soak or a bath or something that you could do using water to kind of clear the vibes. But this is somebody who was either disappointed or felt like you didn't give them a fair shake, or that they were trying to connect with you, but they weren't respecting your boundaries. And because they weren't respecting your boundaries, you had to either become more assertive with them, or you had to like actually cut them off. And like there's like a lot of like energy mentally coming towards you from this person. Now the Knight of Swords and the Ten of Swords makes me wonder, is this a person that you like didn't give a response to, who you blocked, who you didn't give an answer to, somebody who you were like, we're done here, we're not even talking about it, like anything like that? Because to me, there can be lots of like mental barbs that are being thrown here. I mean, the Ten of Swords and the Knight of Swords is somebody who feels like, oh, you know, they did me wrong, they didn't give me a fair shot, and they wouldn't even talk to me. And, you know, in your mind, in the back of your mind, it's like, it wasn't that big of a deal, I just wasn't interested. But somebody's taking it quite personally. This can also be like an invasion of your mental space. So you can feel like you either energetically got slimed, or that there's something or someone that keeps getting in your way, that's inhibiting you from being able to think clearly, from feeling safe, from being able to communicate with other people. Because you have so much of this in Swords, I get the feeling that for you personally, this is like, we need to find a way to break the mental cycle, like to break like the cycle of being like, I'm stuck, what am I going to do? Because this is saying like, you can very quickly go to, oh, nothing is working, there's got to be something that's like working against me, right? And so I'm always quick to like tell clients, like, sometimes you'll go to readers, and readers will be like, oh, you have a curse on you, and you have this, and you have that, and like it's going to stay with you until you do X, Y, Z, or you pay me money. Like that can really affect people. So this is also saying, if there's been anything where you've gotten that kind of in your mind, that you're being blocked, you can't move forward, it's painful, nothing's ever going to work out, there's a need to kind of break that pattern. Something that can be helpful is like doing something either verbally or doing something mentally that is going to be like working with like a sword, like cutting cords, right? Or words of affirmation or power to basically say, nothing is affecting me, the roads are clear, I'm able to move forward. That can be really helpful. It looks like it's something you have to say, or you need to be mentally visualizing, or something that you need to be writing to get into the habit of feeling like you can be opening up again. But it looks like somebody who had some kind of either emotional connection or an attachment or a romantic interest or whatever still kind of has their feelings attached to this, and you're picking up on it like a little receiver, and it's affecting you. But also this can be feeling like there's been a series of like either unfortunate events or a series of things that didn't pan out that were really difficult and really painful, and you're trying to understand what's going on and like why you're getting stuck in this. Clear the space. Whenever I see a lot of swords coming up, I'll tell clients like, you know, using some kind of sage or smudging or something that's actually going to clear the air can be really helpful. Clearing the air with sound is helpful as well. So like sound bowls, chimes, bells, things that are going to break that up, so that way you're not mentally picking up on it all the time. Page of Cups can also be somebody who is perhaps still, dare I say, like interested or watching or emotionally invested in like what it is you're doing, and might want to be seeing that there's like room to have a chance romantically or connecting. And like, you know, maybe it's just me, I'm superstitious, but I believe like in the evil eye. Like I really think that if somebody's watching things and they're kind of, you know, if they're having a little too much access to something or to your life or whatever, like that can affect us. So I think with the Page of Cups, it might be smart for you to just like do like a soak or a ritual bath or something to just get that out of your auric field. Working with salt usually can be good when I see the Page of Cups. But I think it's somebody who had like an emotional connection that didn't get a fair shot, or you kind of shook them off. And ever since then, there's been some kind of like weird funkiness because somebody might have really had their heart set on like actually going further and communicating with you more, or like getting some like positive exchanges. But it's not anything you can't change, okay? So, you know, Ten of Swords quite literally is like, it's done, it's buried, you know, we're not going back there. I would also say that this can be talking about like getting rid of things, burying things, recycling things. Like if you have things that have some kind of an emotional charge to it, that may have been gifted to you, like go through your house, look at it. There can be connections to that too, and there's a need to kind of put that to rest and like actually get rid of it. If you want to recycle it, if you want to give it away, if you want to, I mean, bury it, whatever. But sometimes this comes up with being like, wow, I didn't realize I had that note from that guy that was in my house. Or, oh my gosh, I have all these text messages from this person I don't talk to anymore. I'm going to delete them. It's something that can be either a physical object, or it can actually hold energy, or it can be something that's in your phone. Maybe be mindful also just who has the ability to kind of see some of the stuff that you're going through. I mean, I'm not saying you have to block people or that you have to go private, but there's something magical to that by being like, yeah, I'm taking my privacy back, you know, or I need some space. Like I don't want that person seeing my things, because you may have to do that, because this can be a card where people are still trying to keep up with what you're doing, and that can be having an effect on you. Okay. But you can clear it out. Don't worry. You're clearing this out with that 10. It's a wrapping up of that cycle. Hopefully that's helpful. All right, guys. Well, thanks for spending Saturday with me. I appreciate it. I will be back next week. So next Saturday is going to be astrology. So you guys can join me Saturday. Saturday is going to be the 13th, 7:00 p.m. Pacific. I'll post the link a little bit early so you guys can sign up. I'm trying to do the astrology readings where I put them out early. So I'm probably only going to take somewhere between 10 and 15 people at a time. So if you guys want to sign up in advance, you want to guarantee you're going to get a reading, you guys can do that. You can sign up. Tomorrow, I have Astro Weather coming out. I did a very long, in-depth video on the full moon in Aquarius. So I'm going to be talking about how that's going to affect all the 12 signs. That's coming out as well, and creating some new content for you guys also for next week. We got Mars getting ready to go into Gemini. We've got a bunch of Saturn Uranus squares. If you guys haven't seen any of those videos about Mars square Saturn, because it's setting up today and tomorrow, I would recommend watching it, because it's a very grouchy next couple of days ahead. Even though the full moon's not going to be till the 11th, we're going to start feeling it tomorrow. So it's going to be a very wild next week with the astrology. All right. You guys enjoy the rest of your Saturday. Thank you for joining me, and I will see all of you very soon. Take care.